Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 7:45, 7:46 on Friday evening. Date night tonight. I wish I had a date going sell. Somebody has to drive me. Somebody has to get me in the car. Somebody has to do just about everything. Except for eat ice cream. I could eat ice cream. Excuse me. Tell you what, I got a little tale. Fool would dive off damn near anything if he thought he would impress the girl. Who's a fool? Raise your hand. Who'd like to impress a girl? Raise your hand. Well, see, our Lake Lewisville, is really a conglomeration of two lakes. First lake had a dam and a spillway. They didn't remove the old spillway and the dam. They just let it go derelict. And so the spillway was still there. Now, there was a manhole on each side of the spillway. You could go down into the spillway and walk across to the other manhole. And it was a good 300-yard spillway. It was a massive son of a gun. The first lake was too small a lake for as much water was going down it. And they probably realized that right off the bat. And started building the greater Lake Dallas, Lewisville, Lake Dallas. It had several names. Garza Little Elm. Finally they landed on Lake Lewisville. Well, the spillway had manholes. They on the side that you could get to. It had a bridge going across it. It basically blew up, and the rubble was down on the one side of it. It was not the spillway side of it. It was this, the water backed up to, but then it flowed over that, and there was bunches of concrete and everything twisted up metal. And so you didn't mess around this area very much. If you wanted to walk, you could walk through this area when the lake was low and walk over to the other one and walk over to the old uh, pump house. It wasn't a pump house, it was just a gatehouse. And you could manipulate the gate still uh, there where you could turn the shafts and open and close gates. And it was quite an impressive little sight to see when I was a boy. Well, slowly more and more stuff got taken away from that place. People took it. I don't know. It had huge shafts, screw shafts that you turned to open the gates. They were brass. People cut those off and took them. Well, once they're gone, they're gone. You know. Anyway, back to my little story. So down on the south side of the spillway was a little sandy spot where you could pull your boat up. And this was before the fire ants took the whole place over. I pulled in there with some lady friends and some of my other friends in JJ. And we pulled in over there. And so I had decided that I was going to jump off and make a dive from that manhole cover up the top of this massive spillway complex. But I had no idea how deep it was, no idea how, how many people had thrown rocks off of it or pieces of concrete off of it and built it in this corner. I just decided I was just going to go up there and get everybody to watch. I was going to make the dive of the century. And I was determined to do it. Didn't worry about doing it. Didn't have any qualms about doing it. You couldn't see any rocks down there. Actually, the lake was uh, a green tint. You couldn't see anything down there. So all's fine and good. So I get up there and I get my nerve up about me. Everybody's watching me and I'm stuck at this point. I would have turned around and walked back down and said, no, I don't think I'm going to dive off this thing. No, I had like I said, I had already made my bed. and I was gonna lie in it. So I got ready, and I took a dive. It was a beautiful dive, too, I'm sure. I should have got it on tape, but we didn't have tape machines back then. I hit the water, and I broke the water with, thank God, with my hands just right so my head didn't get knocked out. And as I was coming out of the dive, I pushed down with my hands to start heading back up and felt concrete jump beneath my hands. I had come that close to diving into a bunch of concrete junk that had been thrown off the top of that dam. Yeah, well, I went back over, probably white as a sheet, and I said, we better not be jumping off that anymore. That needs to have a sign on it saying, do not jump off of this. Because people have thrown enough concrete in there that it's filled it in. And you can kill yourself real easy by jumping off that point. It had little walkway type thing going down to the lower level. You could jump off it and go into the pool. And so I did jump off that a couple of times. I never jumped head first off that dam ever again. I had learned my lesson and learned it well. Because, if your hands don't break that water just right, you're going to get a severe sore neck when your hands, when your head hits that water. So you got to have everything just right when you do that. And you're a damn fool if you're jumping off anything that's saying was at least 50 foot high off the water. It might have been higher than that. And this fool thought he could tame it. Well, he tamed it all right. Learned a valuable lesson in the process, too. Don't go diving in murky water where you don't know what the bottom's going to be like. But as it was, nobody got hurt. Nobody else jumped off that point. They didn't even jump off that point. I was the only one stupid enough to dive off that point. It's there still today. You can dive on it today if you want to walk. Is it a mile's worth from Westlake Park over to it? Got it all chopped up and it made a big mess out of it. But you can go up there and jump off it today. But I imagine there's more concrete rocks thrown down there, and it's probably a lot shallower than it was when I jumped off it. And it needs to have a sign saying, jump at your own risk, shallow water. That might keep somebody from hurting themselves. So that was my one and only trip of diving off something too high. I had, for the rest of the time, if I cliff dove like it, like uh, Travis, I didn't go head first anymore. I always jump feet first. I always had a life jacket float down there for me to grab when I came to the surface, so that I'd be in good shape and be able to float on that on the way back in case you landed just wrong and it knocked the wind out of you. Because, when you get so high, you go hitting that water ride. If your feet don't break that water ride and your chest hits it wrong, you're going to knock the wind out of your sails. And, it's just best not to jump off that kind of stuff. You seek the lower things to jump off of, and you'll be much happier. Ask me how I know. Boy. But anyway, you have a good Friday night and a good Saturday morning. And if you're ever on Lake Lewisville and you see the old dam, if you see the west side of it, you'll see the old spillway. And you'll see the two towers on either side. Just know that some fool jumped off that tower and didn't kill himself. Crazy, man. Well, I'll let you go there. I'll get back to you maybe later on tonight. We'll just have to see how I'm feeling. It's 8:05 now, Friday night.